Welcome back, nerds. Fino here with a guide for this year's Christmas event, Snowy Field 2025, 7 Days, 8 Years Snow Carol. Names might vary. I'm recording this ahead of its official release. For the uninitiated, Christmas is usually host to a lottery event, one where you can liquidate all your AP regeneration items in exchange for many useful goodies. On one hand, you have the usual, class gems, embers, QP, mana prisms, and friend points. Each lotto also has its own set of skill items, and the package this time includes bullets, stakes, seashells, homunculus babies, and a resource pick ticket, which can be exchanged for any one of the following: reactor cores, warhorse horns, primordial lanugo, arrowheads of malice, and crowns of silvery light. While it may not be the most efficient way to get embers or QP by themselves, the fact that you get so much stuff all at once is what makes the humble lotto event so useful. Among all those items, I mentioned friend points, and this will be an excellent place to use them as well. You see, Mary Anning is making a return to the friend point gacha. Much like Nobukatsu, she's a limited 1-star servant, and consequently is extremely efficient at generating servant coins. If you're running low for the coming year, it's worth liquidating your friend points here. Otherwise, you may find grail casting an onerous process. The free quests for this event, where all the farming goes down, are available as soon as you finish Fuyuki, the first chapter. But there's also a welfare servant. I have a guide on Santa Nemo, so you can watch that if you want to look under the hood. But there are 3 bullet points you need to know. Firstly, he's an AoE arts writer and decent in that role. Secondly, he won't appear in the evocation system until 2027, so if you miss him now, you'll be waiting a while. Thirdly, the story part of this event, which unlocks Nemo, is locked behind the Trom chapter, which itself requires Lost Belt 6 completion. That's quite a ways into the game, so you may want to get running if you're within reach. You can get Nemo's Ascension items and coins in the shop, and alongside them, you'll also see the event command codes. Love Poems of the Crane's Vows gives flat stars and NP gain. Golden Trident purges an enemy's crit damage buff and gives its wielder crit damage, and Reindeer Hat that bears the Holy Knight gives a paltry single star, but it also cleanses a seal type debuff. While a bit awkward to use, this actually gives a potentially useful effect to have in your toolkit. It works on skill and NP sealing effects, and even card type seals, though obviously you don't want its equipped card to be sealed. You'll also find a few copies of Holy Blue. This increases event lotto currency drops, and you'll want to equip all your copies while also keeping them separate. If you get lucky with free quest drops, you may get enough to limit break them. But I'd wait until you have enough where you can run at least 5 separate copies even after fusing them. One particular gimmick of this Christmas event is that certain free quests, the level 90 and 90+, rotate during the first 7 days, after which they stabilize and the 90++ node also unlocks. The level 90 fights are all 3-3-3 arrangements, so you can loop them however you wish. Things change up for 90+. Day 1 is a 1-3-1 Saber, Day 2 has 3-1-3 Lancers, Day 3 has 3-1-1 Lancers, Day 4 is 1-3-2 Casters, Day 5 has 1-3-3 Berserkers, Day 6 is 2-3-1 Assassins, and Day 7 has 1-3-1 Berserkers. Their health values cap out at under 300k, so you shouldn't have too much difficulty if your account is developed. But you may want to try your hand at 90++ instead. It's quite doable even in a 6-slot configuration. This is a 3-1-1 caster node with a Sphinx mid-boss and a Demon God pillar boss. I don't believe this particular pillar has an alignment, even though it's modeled after one that originally does. It's a long story, blame Infinite Pancakes. This makes it an obnoxious enemy to exploit. That said, if you have a strong regular Nemo, the 5-star rider, not to be confused with the other 5-star rider Nemo, who recently showed up on the JP server, he has anti-super giant damage which you can abuse in combination with class advantage and a significant event bonus, 50% damage and 20% bond. Both the Sphinx and the Pillar have that trait, so you're in good hands if you've got a half-decent captain. If you're lacking in power, you can also use Black Grail in place of event CEs. This will make the final wave damage check much more doable. While you could run Santa Nemo as your AoE component, I will note that Habitrot also has an event damage bonus, so you can clear wave 1 with her before you let original Nemo or your alternative attacker handle the rest. Speaking of which, both Kentucky Rider and Cinder Ellie can function in this role, assuming you run the appropriate card type supports plus/minus Oberon. I don't know precisely how much juice they need to clear in a 6-slot run, but you probably won't need to grail them, certainly not over level 90. Some other notable event bonuses include Oberon, who gets damage, and Mash, who increases bond across your party. Oberon isn't really going to blow up casters, at least not directly, but if you're min-maxing for 90+, you can have him fight an AoE wave. There's another free quest at the bottom of the list. It gives tier 3 shop currency, but requires Nautilus models to play. Those are a lot of rewards, and they're much better spent on shop items, and spares exchange for a nice chunk of QP. For this reason, you should only do this quest once to get its summon ticket clear reward. One last reward for participating in this event is a new Mystic code, White Christmas. It doesn't do anything special, but now you can walk into story-critical fights dressed like you're about to eat cookies and slide off a rooftop. If you have access to the event's story portion, you'll get it automatically. Otherwise, to the shop with ye! That just leaves the challenge quest. This is a fight against all the Santas along with their friends. Each of them has around 250 to 250k health, except for the rulers who have less. Each one has an entry effect and an exit effect. There's a lot of moving parts on paper, but I'll focus on the most impactful mechanics to save us both some time. Amakusa Shiro's entry effect gives everyone a single stack of AoE NP resistance. It's pretty big too, 50%. A number of mechanics in this fight apply to both parties, so when I say everyone, I mean everyone. Even after you beat him, Amakusa isn't done making you miserable. He applies a delayed debuff that damages you and purges your most recent buff every 4 turns. On entry, the other Shiro applies an attack buff and confusion, aka delayed skill seal, to everyone. His exit effect cleanses that confusion, but also gives everyone who has an attack buff evasion. 1 hit's worth. Quetzalcoatl's exit effect gives everyone a single stack of guts. Nightingale gives everyone defense on entry, children get extra, and debuff immunity on exit. Karna gives everyone sure hit on entry. Lastly, there's Nemo. He's completely immune to damaging debuffs until he's the last one alive. His entry effect is that, after a single turn, he gives 5 ticks of charge to his team, essentially letting them all NP you at once. You on the other hand get 30% charge, but all of your evil-aligned units get 3 turns of an uncleansable NP seal. The structure of this fight makes it difficult to go for a fast kill, but it is possible. What you need to do is have a really strong AoE attacker, preferably a Buster Servant, given that Santa Altar's exit effect grants you exactly that. Then you have your supports, with offensive Noble Phantasms, attack first to break the NP resistance effect. Then your main attacker goes in to finish the job. Of course, when Ket sends out her guts, things get even more complicated and requires another Noble Phantasm to deal with that. Either that, or your main attacker needs to do enough damage to pop guts immediately. Then your follow-up kills them, and you have at most 1 enemy remaining to take down with a card. I've seen runs with Arquade and Morgan accomplish this, but they need to be quite strong, and you probably need K-Scope or Cope-Scope for at least one of your secondary units to meet the charge requirements. But if this is out of reach for you, you can still muddle through the fight the slow way. The Immortal team, an Overcharger, a Merlin, and Castoria, is well suited for extremely long and attritional battles. Though I will warn you that not only do you have to sequence buffs to play around Amakusa's Purge effect, but Nemo's delayed buff also bricks Morgan for 3 turns. So if you're running her as your Overcharger, get ready for that. Overall, it's not a very hard fight, and I was able to run Santa Nemo in a clumsy looping setup. It wasn't clean, but I didn't have to reset a million times or use my brain cells, so I'll call that a victory. So, how crazy do you plan to farm the event? I might go a little apeshit myself. This week, I've got Hades on Tuesday, Metaphor ReFantasio on Wednesday, Zone of the Enders 2 on Friday, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis format tournament on Saturday, and FGO on Sunday. It's a packed week and you won't want to miss it. Twitch.tv/Finotaisen. See you there.